Picture this. The city's burning, the power's out, and staying behind could be a death sentence. This is the harsh reality of a full grid-down collapse. When your home is no longer safe, and leaving is the only way to survive, what do? This isn't some dystopian fiction, this is the real world, and it's a scenario you need to prepare for. Let's dive into the reasons why you might be forced to evacuate. Wildfires, for instance, can turn your safe haven into a death trap in minutes. Civil unrest, too, can render your location indefensible. Picture the scenes of riots, looting, and violence that can erupt in times of crisis. Or consider a toxic spill, where the air you breathe becomes a lethal poison. And let's not forget resource depletion. When the food runs out, the water dries up, and the lights go out, staying put might no longer be an option. It's crucial to recognize these signs early. If you're waiting until it's obvious to leave, you've waited too long. Survival is about staying ahead of the danger, not getting caught in it. Making the decision to leave your home is one of the hardest you'll ever make, but sometimes it's the only choice you have. It's also vital to understand that bugging out is a last resort. It's not a decision to be taken lightly. You'll be leaving behind your gear, your home, and your comfort zone. But remember, this is about survival, not comfort. It's not a failure, but a necessary step to stay alive. So how do you make the decision to leave? It's about being alert, staying informed, and recognizing the signs that your location is no longer defensible. It's about understanding that in some situations, staying put is more dangerous than leaving. It's about making the hard choice and making it before it's too late. Recognize the signs and make the decision to leave before it's too late. Because when the city's burning and the power's out, you need to be ready to go. And when you do, you go smart, fast, and prepared. And most importantly, you don't look back. Bugging out is a last resort, but it should always be in your survival plan. Let's highlight why preppers prioritize staying in their homes but also need an evacuation plan. Home is your fortress, your stronghold where you've stored your supplies and gear. It's your comfort zone. And naturally, it's the place you'd want to stay during a crisis. But sometimes, the world throws a curveball and bugging in turns into a death trap. Think of civil unrest, wildfires, toxic spills, or your home being invaded. These are the grim realities that might force you to leave everything behind and hit the road. Recognizing the signs that your location is no longer defensible is key. Let's say your neighborhood has turned into a war zone, or perhaps a wildfire is inching closer. These are obvious signs, but sometimes the signals are subtle. Resources depleting faster than anticipated, or a disease outbreak in your vicinity, for instance. It's crucial to stay alert and make the decision to leave before it's too late. Now let's talk about the mental shift required to leave behind comfort and safety in order to survive. We often associate home with security and the outside world with danger, but when survival is at stake, we need to rewire our brains and accept that leaving home can be the safer option. Remember, survival isn't about sticking to your comfort zone, it's about adapting to the situation and making tough decisions. So bugging out should be viewed as a last resort, a backup plan when bugging in is no longer viable. It's an extreme step, and it comes with its own set of challenges. You'll be leaving behind your gear, your home, and stepping into an uncertain world. But remember, this is not a failure. It's a necessary step in ensuring your survival. In the end, it's all about planning ahead, being adaptable, and making the best out of the worst situations. Remember, leaving behind your comfort zone is part of survival, not failure. Don't wander aimlessly. Know where you're going before you ever leave. This is the golden rule of bugging out. In a grid-down scenario, you can't afford to meander, making it up as you go along. You need a plan, a predetermined destination, and routes to get there. Think about it like this. If you were blindfolded and dropped into an unknown city, would you rather have a detailed map or just wander around hoping to find your way? The answer is obvious. It's the same when you're bugging out. You need a map, a destination, a plan. Now, your destination could be public lands or prearranged locations. Public lands have the advantage of being, well, public. They're open and available to everyone. But that's also their disadvantage. If everyone's heading for the hills, those hills could get pretty crowded. On the other hand, prearranged locations like a relative's secluded cabin or a friend's rural property offer more privacy and control. But you'll need to arrange access beforehand and ensure they're far enough from potential danger zones. What makes a good bug-out location? It's not just about the views. It's about survival. It needs to be defensible. It needs to be off the main roads, away from prying eyes and potential threats. And it needs to be near a water source. Water is life. Without it, survival becomes a ticking time bomb. Your routes to get there are just as important. You need a primary route and backup routes. Roads less traveled that avoid choke points like bridges, tunnels, and city centers. These places can become death traps in a grid-down scenario. And most importantly, you need to know these routes like the back of your hand. Practice them, drive them, walk them if you can. The more familiar you are with your routes, the less chance there is of getting lost or caught off guard. Remember, in a bug-out scenario, knowledge is power and planning is your best defense. Your bug-out location should be defensible, off the main roads, and near a water source. These are the keys to bugging out successfully. You can't carry your whole stockpile, so pack light, pack smart. In a grid-down situation, mobility is crucial. Your bug-out bag, or BOB, should contain only the essentials. These are items that will keep you alive in the short term and assist in your longer-term survival. First and foremost, you need food and water. Pack high-calorie, non-perishable food items that don't require cooking. Energy bars, trail mix, and canned goods with pull-tab lids are good choices. For water, carry a portable water filter or purification tablets. Remember, water is heavy, so consider your carrying capacity and the availability of water sources along your route. Next, fire. Fire is essential for warmth, cooking, and sterilization. Pack waterproof matches or a lighter and consider adding a compact stove and fuel to your kit. Shelter is another priority. A lightweight tent, a tarp, or an emergency bivy bag can provide a protective barrier against the elements. Your med kit should be comprehensive but compact. Antiseptics, bandages, essential medications, and tools like tweezers and a small scalpel can be life-saving. Communication tools are crucial. A hand crank radio can keep you informed of the situation, and a whistle can be used for signaling. Lastly, self-defense. Depending on your comfort level and local laws, this could range from a sturdy knife to a firearm. Now, what to leave behind? Luxuries, heavy items, and anything that slows you down. This isn't the time for your favorite hardcover book or that cast iron skillet. Leave behind unnecessary electronics, cumbersome tools, and non-essential clothing. Also, consider a small power bank with foldable solar panels. It's just enough power for a light charging batteries or plugging in a heated blanket. Remember, in a bug-out situation, less is often more. Every item you pack adds weight and takes up space. So be ruthless in your choices. Your survival may depend on it. Leave behind luxuries, anything heavy, anything that slows you down. The key to successful bugging out is to stay light, stay focused, and stay alive. How far should you go? Follow the one tank rule. This guideline says that your bug-out location should be reachable on a single tank of gas or less. Now, this isn't a hard and fast rule, but it's a good starting point to consider. Let's face it, in a grid-down scenario, gas stations aren't going to be open for business, and carrying large amounts of fuel isn't practical or safe. So, the one-tank rule keeps your destination within a reasonable and reachable distance. But, what if you're on foot? Well, that's a whole other ball game. You need to be realistic about how far you can travel each day. Under stress with a pack, 10 to 15 miles per day is a realistic expectation. Remember, this isn't a leisurely hike, this is survival. You're going to be moving fast and conserving energy will be essential, so training beforehand will give you a realistic understanding of your capabilities. Now, about the route. You may think the quickest way to get from point A to point B is by taking the major highways. But in a crisis situation, those highways can quickly turn into parking lots as everyone tries to leave at once. Worse yet, they can become choke points, trapping you in a vulnerable position. So avoid major highways if possible. Plan multiple routes using secondary roads or even off-road paths, and always have a backup plan. Finally, consider the terrain and weather. A flat, dry route will be easier and quicker than a mountainous, snowy one. So, factor in the conditions when deciding how far you can go. To sum it up, when it comes to travel distance, you want your bug-out location to be as close as necessary, but as far as possible from danger. And always have a plan B, C, and even D, because the situation can change in an instant. Remember, choke points can become death traps. So plan your route and your distance wisely, and always be ready to adapt. What makes a bug-out location actually viable? This is a question that could determine your survival when the grid goes down. In this part of the guide, we're going to delve into the key traits of a viable bug-out location and the red flags you should steer clear of. First and foremost, your bug-out location needs to offer seclusion. In a world gone chaotic, the last thing you want is to be in the thick of things. The farther you are from populated areas, the less likely you are to encounter potential threats. Remember, in a crisis, people can be unpredictable. Next, consider access to water. Water is life. It's not something you can carry enough of, and it's not something you can live long without. Your bug-out location should be near a reliable water source, whether that's a river, lake, or even a well. Shelter is another crucial factor. You need a place that can protect you from the elements, whether that's an abandoned cabin, a cave, or even a well-crafted tent. The key is to have something that can keep you warm and dry. Now let's talk defensibility. Your bug-out location should be easy to defend. It should offer good sight lines, so you can see anyone approaching, and it should have natural barriers to deter unwanted guests. Remember, your safety is paramount. Visibility control is another important trait. You don't want to be easily spotted by anyone who happens to pass by. Think camouflage, think low profile. Bugging out isn't heroic, it's brutal, uncertain, and full of risk. This isn't a line from an action film, but a stark reality that we all need to face. Today, we've walked through the harsh realities of a grid-down collapse and the last resort decision to bug out. We've talked about the reasons you might be forced to leave your home, from civil unrest and fires to toxic spills and invasions. We've emphasized the importance of recognizing the signs that your location is no longer defensible and making the decision to leave before it's too late. We've encouraged you to plan for this undesirable eventuality, to shift your mindset and understand that leaving behind your home and your comfort zone is part of survival, not failure. Remember, bugging out is a last resort and not a decision to be taken lightly. We've also highlighted the importance of knowing your destination before you set out, the need for a defensible bug-out location off the main roads and near a water source. We've stressed the significance of packing smart, carrying only essentials: food, water, fire, shelter, a medkit, comms, and self-defense tools. We've proposed the one-tank rule for determining how far you should travel, and we've cautioned against the dangers of major highways and choke points. We've discussed the key traits of a viable bug-out location: seclusion, access to water, shelter options, defensibility, and visibility control. But let's be clear, bugging out is not about heroism, it's about survival. It's about making tough decisions, facing harsh realities, and doing what needs to be done to stay alive. It's brutal, it's uncertain, and it's full of risk. But when you have to go, you go smart, you go fast, and you go prepared. And you don't look back. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button, subscribe for more survival content, and drop a comment. Your interaction fuels our efforts to provide you with the best survival content. Always remember, stay mobile, stay focused, stay alive.